Okay, just starting that again because it fell over. Ooh, okay. I had an insight as to what life is. Do you want to hear? Um, it's funny because when I have thoughts and like moments of like, ooh, that's a thing. Thanks God, that's a clever, not clever, but that's a thing of value that I want to say in the video later. It's a practice for me to not then start thinking about how I'm going to say that. I think I touched on this before. And then to just give that idea back and go, I trust that that will come back in a way that it will, and to not try and preempt this too much. Because that's the impressor, going, how am I going to do it right? How am I going to do it right? And to have a thought and then to give it back is quite challenging actually, because I can easily just start spiraling. Not spiraling, but spiraling down like a rabbit hole on how I'm going to do that well, because I had a lot of really cool thoughts then and feelings that turned into thoughts. Oh, hang on. Oh, one was, if you imagine a straight line next to a squiggly line, the straight line is your soul, okay? Just bear with me on this. And by the way, when I say your, I'm not talking to you like I am, but I'm kind of talking to this guy from a higher perspective, if that makes sense. Because I am you. So, your soul is the straight line. On the squiggly line is your mind, and it's your ego, and it's what most people think life is. It's the surface world, right? Now, you were born. Here's the starting point of both, right? Squiggly, straight line. You were born here. Bear with me. Now, the squiggly line, the ego, I think my definition of the ego would be a illusion of a small separate self born through the survival of a singular or repeated trauma in childhood, right? So a moment or a few different moments when you were a little kid happened, and suddenly you were transported from the soul line, right? Because when you're a kid, before any of that shit happens, life is easy. You know exactly. You just feel in your body all day, and everything's great. And then one day something bad happens, or traumatic, or scary, right? And suddenly, a mind and an ego is created because it goes, we never want to feel like that again. And so suddenly, there's an experience that we want to avoid, right? Because before, you didn't know that that was a thing, and so life was just great because everything was okay, right? But suddenly there's this big, big thing which is not okay, and so life becomes about avoiding that trauma, right? Which is the squiggly line. Now, I feel like a lot of self-help in the past has been about use your ego to find what you want and to fulfill your highest. God, I'm yawning. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. A lot of past self-help has been about finding your soul, right, and returning to what you like. What do you want, and let's make that happen, right? Let's achieve that. And so you're in that situation. You are the squiggly line. You've identified yourself with the ego, who is consciously trying to find the soul line. But what I just got is that you already are the soul line. You were this the whole time. You are moving in a linear way up both paths at the exact same time. The only difference is that this line is just sensation and everything is okay. And if your intention is to experience life, everything's a win. You're just experiencing life. Whether your mind thinks it's good or bad, it just is. And that's your soul. That's the calling. That's the high voice that says, what if we did this? What if we wrote a book? you know, and then your mind, you jump over and go, well, but we can't because of this, because of that, because we need to avoid the trauma of doing it wrong, right? So me in that meditation trying to think, how am I going to say all these insights well, is me trying to avoid the trauma of getting it wrong, because when I was a kid, I got it wrong, and then I got hit, you know, and I didn't even get it wrong, I just got hit, and then my mind, as a child, you decide, what did I do that made that happen? Because I need to figure out how to make that not happen again, right? And that's why children think everything's their fault, or just naturally think that it's their fault, because they're trying to figure out how to make that not happen again. If you get hit as a child, life becomes about not being hit again. And if you don't know why you were hit, then you can't figure out how to avoid it again. And so your brain has to create a fictional story which puts you at the center of fault, which means that, like, if I was being too loud, you know, or I said something stupid and then I got hit, and then life becomes about being smart, but so that you don't do the thing that got you hit, even if that's a fictional thing, you know. Yeah, so we're moving along here, and notice how when you're in a meditation, all that meditating really is supposed to be is just bringing your attention back to this line, the straight line, you know, bringing your soul back to where you already are. You already are here. You are loved. You are light. You are all these things. Your brain has just created a story in which it needs to be over here avoiding the trauma, right? So... yeah, cool. I hope you got something from this. I will see you tomorrow, fellow human.